Our next presenter began his career as a novelist with the horror novels The Loathing and The Hunger, each of which were made into feature films. But there was one book that he wrote that would change his life and career and the lives of tens of thousands of sleeping experiencers forever. In the book, he asserts that he was abducted from his cabin in upstate New York on the evening of December 26, 1983 by non-human beings. For many abductees that had no waking memory of their experiences, seeing the cover of the book Communion would be the first trigger that would awaken them to remembering experiences that they'd had. You've all seen the cover of the book? All right. Both the hardcover and paper cover editions of Communion reached the #1 position on the New York Times best-selling list for a nonfiction category, with more than 2 million copies collectively sold. With Communion, an esoteric subject had reached the mainstream culture. He wrote 4 additional autobiographies detailing his experiences with the visitors. Transformations is a direct follow-up. Breakthrough, the next step, a reflection on the original events and accounts of the sporadic contact he'd subsequently experienced. The Secret School, in which he examines strange memories from his childhood. And lastly, Solving the Communion Enigma, What is to Come. Other visitor-themed books that he has written include Majestic, The Communion Letters, Confirmation, The Greys, The Hybrids, and he wrote a screenplay for the 1989 film Communion starring Christopher Walken. Has everybody seen this film? If not, get on Netflix or wherever you need to go and watch it. Should I have done that? Because that's one of those, you're not that happy with it, but everybody needs to see it. It's a classic. Besides, it's got Christopher Walken in it, for goodness sakes. All right, our next speaker has repeatedly expressed frustrations that his experiences have been taken as alien contact when he does not actually know what they were. He has reported anomalous childhood experiences and suggested that he may have suffered some sort of early interference by intelligence or military agencies. In the pre-dawn hours of June 6, 1998, he was allegedly visited in his Toronto hotel room by a mysterious but very ordinary-looking elderly Caucasian man who delivered an unsolicited lecture covering various subjects from spirituality to the environment. When he queried the man who airily suggested that he might be called Michael, but our speaker has taken to refer to him as the Master of the Key. And he published a book about the visit called The Key. He is currently host of the paranormal and fringe science-themed internet podcast Dreamland, available on a weekly basis from his website Unknown Country. In 2012, he began an alien-themed series called Alien Hunter, the first volume of which was published in August 2013. A series based on the book will be released by Sci-Fi Channel in April 2016 called Hunters. The second volume in the series, Alien Hunter Underworld, was published in August 2014. He recently collaborated with religious scholar Jeffrey Kripal on 2016's Supernatural, A New Vision of the Unexplained, which is a study of cultism, supernatural experiences, and parapsychology that explores why the supernatural is neither fantasy nor fiction, but a vital and authentic aspect of our life. Please join me in welcoming Whitley Strieber.
Thank you. Now I don't know how to use these things, so I'm going to try to get back. Go back. Yeah, there you go. Well, regarding the movie Communion, Christopher Walken played somebody in it, but not me. I've had a very interesting few days. Last Thursday, I was rehearsing this speech with a relative who was listening, with the idea that she would alert me if it was completely incomprehensible. And the implant turned on, which which it doesn't do too often. And that was interesting because usually I'm very digressive and I talk, sort of use my speeches as a kind of springboard. But this time I'm going to stick to it because I have a feeling that somebody's interested in how you react to it, and they may have had quite a role in it. My wife, Anne, who passed away in August, certainly did have a role in it, and as we go through, I'll explain to you the parts of it that she has participated in, because she is still very much a part of my life, and we're going to get into why that would be the case. Last night, during Linda's presentation, it turned on one time during the time that she was talking about the group that were supposedly head of this committee, or whatever it was that is in Nuremberg, that I've forgotten what they were called. What? No, not the specific group. Then she showed pictures of them. Not Ebens, no. Let me see if I can get it. Oh dear. Now this is much more like one of my talks, and all right, let's get started. Anyway, Linda, hopefully, maybe she's even in here. Or she's probably not. She's probably out talking. In any case, I just can't seem to recall what they were called. Emertha. That's when it turned on. And that's probably significant, because it probably is helpful to me in letting me know exactly what part of this I'm involved with. This is the most complex experience the human species has ever had. And it's complex for two reasons. One, because a lot of somebodies are here, and we're not really sure what they are. But the other side of the coin is we're in the process of discovering something truly enormous. It's us. We are here. That's what makes this really complex. Today, we're going to be talking about the change of the age, what happens as you progress along the calendar of the zodiac from Pisces to Aquarius. This is a 26,000-year calendar with all of the different signs arrayed around it. And somebody has made a plan, and I'll tell you why we know that. The Old Testament was written during the age of Aries, the ram. The ram is mentioned 72 times in the Old Testament. It is, in other words, the animal most often mentioned. The next age is the age of Pisces, and who is Jesus? He's the fisher of men. The sign Pisces is the sign of the fish. Now, the little fish has been swimming happily in the waters of the world. We had everything we wanted from planet Earth. The womb. Earth's womb. We're in it. But the fish has grown. It's a big fish now. Look, we're just a tiny part of this huge fish. Earth's got a real big baby in her womb. The waters are going to break, and every woman in here knows what that means. They will be poured out, and that's why the symbol of Aquarius is the water carrier pouring the water. And this is okay. I know it's okay because obviously it's been expected for a long time. Now, will we be okay? Well, we're going to be stirred up a good bit because I don't remember my birth, and you don't remember. I remember going into the womb, but I don't remember coming out. I did come out, I'm sure. In any case, we experience the end of our period in the womb as what we call global warming, with its derangements of climate, weather, cold, Cold Spring. We beat our breasts about it, and while human actions do affect it, certainly, they're not the only cause. And this is what is so interesting. The change of the zodiacal calendar at this point, as it did halfway back across this calendar, is coinciding with a natural change. We are moving out of a 15,000-year interglacial. We moved into this interglacial as hunter-gatherers living very simple lives 15,000 years ago. Then there was quite an upset that we'll get into. And we came out of it building towns and cities and hoeing the earth. We discovered ourselves. All of our history has transpired since. As if past is prologue, as Art Bell and I proposed in our book Superstorm, there will soon be a sudden change. The planet will heat up, followed by equally sudden cooling over more than our lifetimes. But we're going to live through this. To what degree, I don't know. But we will. The consequences in our lives, in human life, are going to be very complex, and a lot of people, the planet will become able to support a lot less people than it does now over the next couple of hundred years. But the mind of man will also be involved in this, and so what will actually happen, nobody knows. But I do know this, whether it leads to a tremendous catastrophe and millions of people lose their lives in this context, or it leads somewhere else, what it is leading to is a profound change in consciousness at a number of different levels. One, science is going to respond to this big time in ways that we can scarcely now imagine. What the outcome of that will be, we don't know. We are going to respond to it, and so are our midwives. Those of us in this room are all very special people. Every single one of us. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. Because we have turned towards something that is normally and instinctively ignored. So it's up to us to prepare. It doesn't take many, and it doesn't take external action. It's internal. The advance of consciousness within each one of us, learning to sing in this storm. I'm going to talk about two very simple techniques of doing this, of this looking within. I'm going to, and over the course of the lecture, I'll just mention them both, and you can find out more about them on Unknown Country on my website. One of the things that happens is that people, you read about meditation and so forth, and it's always a very complicated process, and there's usually somebody there who wants to sell you a tape or a CD with special music and stuff. It ain't complicated. You don't need a special tape. You just need yourself and about 15 minutes a day, and you're done. This was not meant by our universe to be hard. It was meant to be possible. And that is exactly what it is. I've been meditating, for example, for 50 years, and for a long time too. And over that time, you get to the point where you realize, A, we are not just meat puppets, and B, we're not alone either. There's going to be a great uproar as this change evolves. Because a baby leaving the womb, what is the first thing he starts to do? First he can't breathe, and then they pop it on the bottom and he starts crying. We'll be noisy too. But then somebody caresses this child and brings them forth. And we all know in this case who that's going to be. And it's going to be interesting. I'm not so sure that babies really like the doctor when they're first born. They can't see very well, and we won't be able to understand this all very well either. But Earth has been moving for all the 5 billion years of her life toward these next few 100 years. It's up to us to make it work. It seems impossible, I know it does, but it isn't, or it wouldn't be this way. So this mother's child must learn to live outside the womb, on dry land. How do we do that? How do we adapt to the new conditions that are coming straight at us like an avalanche? It's a storm we're going to have to ride. We can't stop it. Across my work, since Nature's End, over 30 years ago, there's been a continuing theme. We must plan for this. But we didn't plan, and perhaps it was never intended that we plan. There is one thing we can do, though. Each one of us who hears this message can change consciousness. It's not hard. This is what our lives, the life of Anne and Whitney Strieber, were all about. The change of consciousness. As a matter of fact, right now we have one physical body, Anne and I. We're still married, still working together. Central to this change is rending the veil between the world of what we call the living and the world of what we call the dead, building a bridge of which we will speak much today. There is a new world on offer. I've learned from the visitors, from the dead, and since Anne's passing last August, from her, about just what we need to take the new world for ourselves, to bear it and to make it our own. It involves, I think, building a very new sort of bridge, and this is between the two halves of this species, because you are absolutely not just skin and bone. When the scientific community says there can be no consciousness outside of structure, biological structure, it is wrong, wrong, wrong. I've been outside of biological structure many times. When Annie passed away, I went with her as far as I could. Then I had to return, and she didn't. There is a new world on offer. This is what I know, and at the same time what I question always, looking carefully, asking myself, what is real? Because if we do not anchor this in question, we get nowhere. We have been on the road of belief for far too long. History is littered with the skeletons of soldiers and the gods for whom they gave their lives and took life. Certain of their truth, so certain they'd kill for it and die for it. And it's still happening. Obviously, it happened in Belgium a couple weeks ago, in Paris, a little bit before that. Here, God bless us, in 9/11. Please, let's get past that somehow. Let's move on. Make a cut with the past. Look with new eyes at all of our beliefs. Then there can be a new beginning. And that's not to reject them. We're not, you'll see later in this talk, we're not rejecting anything, but we're just looking at it not as something that must be true, but as something that is part of our life in a certain way. I've been in a school all my life. The school of the enigmatic presence I call the visitors. Enigmatic, complex, wonderful, dangerous. Also very experienced. And that's fortunate. You want your midwife to have a lot of experience. You don't want the baby to be born dead. And in this universe, believe me, anything is possible. This is the real world. No guarantees. 9 out of 10 species that have ever walked on this earth are gone. They're not here now. They're extinct. The planning I wanted to do would have guaranteed that we at least wouldn't go extinct. But there is a certain risk of that probably now. But I don't think we're going to